Welcome to the Quantum AI Coach podcast. I'm Gina, founder of Virtual World Coaching Academy.
I want you to imagine, just for a second, that you are standing in front of this massive, incredibly heavy oak door.
Oh, I can picture it.
Right. And you've got your shoulder just pressed so hard against the wood, your feet are like slipping on the floor, and you're using literally every ounce of your physical strength just to hold it shut.
To bracing yourself.
Exactly. And on the other side, people keep knocking. They're pushing, they're asking for, just a minute of your time or a quick favor or just this one little exception to the rule.
Just a quick question, right? Never just a quick question.
Never. And you are just sweating, you're bracing, you are completely exhausted. And the crazy thing is, for a lot of high performers, that exhausting manual brute force effort is what they actually call setting a boundary.
Yeah, which is just wild when you think about it, because it's completely dependent on your momentary physical and emotional strength in that exact second.
Which fluctuates constantly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the inherent flaw there is that nobody, I mean, literally nobody, can hold that door shut forever. Eventually, your muscles give out, the door slips open a crack, and the demands just flood right in.
But so what if that door just locked itself? What if it was made of solid steel? It recognized exactly who was actually allowed in, and you didn't even have to be standing in the hallway to manage it.
That is the dream right there.
It is. And welcome to today's deep dive. I am so excited about this one. Today, we are looking at a really fascinating text called The Vacuum of Leverage: How to Program Your AI to Hold the Boundaries You Keep Softening.
Such a good title.
It's so good. And it makes a really bold claim, which is our mission for today. We're going to uncover why you are burned out. And spoiler alert, it is not because you're doing too much work.
Right. It's about what kind of work you're doing.
Exactly. We're going to dig into the biological reason we sabotage our own success and, how to re-architect your business systems so they actually protect your peace, letting you scale without just totally frying your nervous system.
Yeah, and before we can really get into building those better systems, we kind of have to dismantle this classic assumption about why our current boundaries are failing us in the first place.
Let's do it. Where do we start?
Well, the text points out something really crucial. High performers don't burn out from the sheer volume of tasks on their plate. I mean, they're used to working hard. They burn out from, as the author puts it, carrying the wrong things.
Carrying the wrong things. Okay, meaning emotional labor that just shouldn't belong to them at all.
Exactly. It's the difference between, say, spending 3 hours deep in a complex spreadsheet.
Which might be tiring, sure, but it's satisfying.
Right, it's focused work. Versus spending 30 minutes just agonizing over how to tell a premium client you can't work on Sunday.
Oh, that is the worst.
It is. That 30 minutes of social friction leaves you completely drained in a way the spreadsheet never would.
Because human boundaries inevitably fail at the exact moment your energetic bandwidth drops. Think about your own behavior, for anyone listening. When you're tired, when you're overwhelmed, or just, operating from that subtle background survival mode, your defaults completely change.
You start overfunctioning.
You overfunction, you people pleases, you soften your edges.
You let the door slip open a crack, a client asks for a quick weekend review, and because you're just too exhausted to have the conflict, you just go, sure, yeah, send it over.
I think we've all been there. I know I have.
Oh, 100%. And to understand why we cave like that so easily, we have to look through this neurobiological lens. The text cites the work of Dr. Roy Baumeister, who is, pretty famous for his research on a concept called ego depletion.
Ego depletion. So this is the idea that willpower isn't just a psychological metaphor. It's an actual measurable physiological resource in the body.
Yes. Every single time you manually enforce a boundary, every time you sit there drafting that awkward, overly polite email to say no.
With the exclamation points so you don't sound mean.
Right, the strategic exclamation points. Every time you have to remind a client they can't just slide into your DMs for free consulting. Your brain literally burns high-register glucose.
Yeah, high-register glucose.
Yeah, it requires immense metabolic energy to navigate social friction. Evolutionarily speaking, rejecting a member of your tribe was, incredibly dangerous. So your brain treats saying no as this very high-stakes, high-energy event.
Okay, so it's kind of like your willpower is a smartphone battery, and every single manual boundary you enforce is like a background app, just draining it to 0 by noon.
That is a perfect analogy.
Because you wake up at 100%, but by 2 p.m. after defending your territory 5 times from scope creep, your battery's at 4%. And at 4%, you aren't fighting anyone.
No, you're just agreeing to things to make the notifications stop.
Exactly. Just make it go away.
And Baumeister's research really proves that your daily decision velocity, which is your capacity to make choices, handle conflict, and hold those firm lines, it is a strictly finite resource. When it's gone, it is gone until you rest and replenish it.
Which brings up a really, really crucial question for the listener. If saying no is this biologically expensive, right? If it literally drains the glucose from our brains, how does our body subconsciously react to the idea of scaling a business?
Oh, it panics.
Because if getting 10 clients drained me to 0, getting 100 clients must feel like a literal biological death sentence to the nervous system.
It absolutely does. And that is where the text pivots into some truly fascinating territory. Because your nervous system is brilliant. It is constantly listening, and it's always, always calculating risk.
So it's protecting us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Building on that biological cost of boundary enforcement, the author explores how our nervous system will actually actively sabotage our financial growth to save us from that exact exhaustion.
We literally block our own success to save our glucose.
Essentially, yes. The text shares this incredible case study of a really brilliant intuitive practitioner and consultant who was completely trapped under what they called the 2,000-pound ceiling.
The 2,000-pound ceiling. Okay, tell us about her.
So she was masterful at her craft. I mean, highly strategic, deeply impactful for her clients. But month after month, year after year, it didn't matter what new marketing strategy she deployed, her monthly revenue would plateau right around 2,000 pounds.
It never broke through.
Never. It never went to 0 either, but it just hit that invisible ceiling and stopped.
Now, let me push back on this for just a second. Couldn't she have just had, like, a genuine marketing problem? I mean, maybe her sales funnel was broken or her pricing was just wrong for the market. Are we really sure a purely financial plateau is a biological defense mechanism?
See, that is exactly what she thought at first, too. She assumed it was a tactical failure. She thought, oh, I just need to try harder, push through the block, refine my offer.
Right, the usual Dignus advice.
Exactly. But pushing just led to deeper exhaustion. The breakthrough only actually happened when she stopped looking at her business metrics and started paying attention to her physical body.
What did she notice?
She noticed a literal physical sensation of panic, like a tightness in her chest, a drop in her stomach, whenever she looked at a high-ticket invoice or a really big opportunity.
So her body was treating the money as an actual threat.
Yes. She uncovered this subconscious math happening behind the scenes. Her nervous system had written a very strict, completely undeniable equation. It went like this. More money equals more premium clients.
Okay, makes sense.
More premium clients equals more eyes on me. And more eyes on me equals a complete loss of personal control.
Oh, wow. More money equals a loss of personal control, because if she was already exhausted managing the boundaries of her current smaller clients, her brain just assumed bigger clients would demand even more access.
Exactly. And it was deeply rooted in her past, too. You know, having something valuable historically meant it was abruptly taken away or it came with these incredibly heavy obligations.
So it wasn't safe?
No. She felt perfectly comfortable giving and guiding others at a low level. But receiving premium numbers, that felt terribly exposing to her. It felt like it came with all these invisible strings and just a flood of energetic demands.
I want to make sure I'm visualizing this correctly. It sounds almost like installing a massive V8 engine in a car, but leaving the factory speed governor on. Like the engine is fully capable of hitting 150 miles per hour, but the internal computer cuts the fuel line the second you hit 60 because it calculates that the tires are going to blow out.
That is an excellent way to picture it. The tactical business strategies, you know, the marketing funnels, the branding, the offers, that's your V8 engine. But your nervous system, that is the internal computer.
And it controls the fuel.
It does. Her subconscious intelligently reset her income back to a safe, contained level of 2,000 pounds because that was the maximum level of exposure her nervous system felt safe holding without losing her sovereignty. You know.
That makes so much sense.
And the text makes a really beautiful point here for anyone listening who might feel stuck right now. You aren't broken. Your system is simply trying to protect your space.
It's doing its job. So the ceiling isn't tactical. It's a systemic energetic cap. But if our bodies cap our success to protect us from exhaustion, why do we stay in the operational weeds in the first place? Like, why do we insist on doing everything manually if it's the very thing draining our battery?
Well, that leads us directly to the titular concept of the text, the vacuum of leverage. Once we understand why our bodies cap our success, We really have to confront a super uncomfortable psychological excuse we use to keep ourselves stuck in those weeds.
The uncomfortable truth. Right, lay it on us.
Being stuck in the trenches, right. Managing client access, filtering minor operational details, constantly putting out fires, it actually serves a secret purpose. The text argues that this daily noise acts as a shield.
Shield from what?
It protects you from the terrifying void of absolute creative freedom.
Oh, the terrifying void of absolute creative freedom. That hits hard.
It really does.
It's like spending all day aggressively organizing your desk, you know? Color-coding your highlighters, perfectly aligning your sticky notes, just so you have a valid excuse not to write the first chapter of your book. The chaos is actually a cozy hiding place.
It is the ultimate hiding place. Manual labor and relationship stress, they drain your energetic resources, which then acts as a very convenient excuse to avoid the true, expansive work your soul is actually calling for, your magnum opus.
Because if you're completely drained from fighting with a client over an invoice, you simply don't have the bandwidth to face the vulnerability of creating your most important work.
Exactly, because the magnum opus is scary. It requires deep focus, and there are no excuses if it fails. If my desk is perfectly clean and my inbox is at 0, I have to face the blank page.
And that blank page is the void.
Right. The text points out that we use code-dependent boundary enforcement as a distraction. Code-dependent simply means the boundary only exists if you manually communicate and enforce it yourself. And as long as you're trapped in that cycle, you get to avoid the vulnerability of real expansion.
Okay, so we have fully identified the trap here. The manual boundaries are draining our biological battery, our nervous system is capping our income to save our lives, and we're secretly using the operational chaos to hide from our own potential.
It's a heavy realization.
It is. So how do we escape this? How do we stop holding the door?
By transitioning to immutable systems. To escape that cozy chaos and the biological drain of ego depletion, we need a solution that does not rely on human willpower at all. We have to take the human element entirely out of the initial boundary enforcement.
Meaning we bring in the digital architecture, we build the steel door.
Yes, because the solution isn't just a mindset shift. You cannot outthink a biological limit. That consultant didn't break her 2,000-pound ceiling by just, thinking positive thoughts or white-knuckling through the fear.
She started architecting systems that expanded what felt safe.
Exactly. An immutable systems boundary never sleeps. It never second-guesses itself. And it never, ever feels a single ounce of guilt for saying no.
Right, and AI doesn't lie awake at 2 a.m. wondering if it was too harsh in a scheduling email.
Not at all. And the text outlines a really tactical reframe for this called the burden-to-boundary logic gate.
Okay, let's unpack that.
So in computer science, a logic gate is simply an if-then protocol. If this condition is met, proceed to this outcome. The author applies this directly to your business energy, creating a 3-tier automated system designed to pre-qualify high-level opportunities before they ever reach your conscious awareness.
Let's break down how this burden-to-boundary logic gate actually functions in the real world. So the first phase mentioned is opportunity qualification. Architecting an automated intake and filter. I'm assuming this is like the moat around the castle.
It is exactly the moat.
Yeah.
Instead of you personally fielding every single inquiry, jumping on these endless discovery calls that go nowhere, and wasting your decision velocity on bad fits, the system evaluates the incoming demands.
But practically speaking, what does that look like? Are we just talking about a complex form on a website?
It starts with dynamic forms, sure, but it integrates with automation logic. For example, a potential client fills out an intake. Based on their answers, their budget, timeline, scope of work, the software routes them differently.
Okay.
If they select a budget that's way below your minimum, the system automatically sends a very polite email redirecting them to your lower-tier digital products, or maybe a wait list. You never even see the email. You don't have to experience that guilt of turning them down.
The logic gate just absorbs the burden.
Completely.
I see. So the system just quietly filters the tire kickers out before my smartphone battery even drops a single percentage point. That makes total sense for the initial intake. But what about the day-to-day operations, like the clients who are already inside the castle? Because that brings us to the second phase the text mentions, which is decision velocity protection.
Yes. This is where we deploy AI configurations for operational choices. This phase handles the routine decisions that usually ping you for approval and drain your glucose throughout the day.
Give me an example of that. How does AI handle my schedule without me having to get involved?
Think about the endless back and forth of rescheduling a meeting, or a client asking for a deliverable like 3 days earlier than agreed upon.
Oh, the worst.
You can configure AI email agents to actually read the intent of incoming messages. So if a client asks for a meeting on a Friday, and let's say Friday is your protected deep work day, the AI agent recognizes the request, consults your coded rules, and automatically replies offering times on Tuesday or Wednesday.
It enforces your availability parameters strictly.
Yes, and it holds the line on, say, your 48-hour response time SLA, without you having to draft that awkward as per my previous email response. The AI agent acts as a buffer, ensuring your boundaries are maintained without you spending metabolic energy to enforce them.
Now, I have to jump in here with a major practical concern, and it's probably something you listening are thinking right now.
Let's hear it.
If we hand over the gatekeeping of our most premium clients, people paying 10, 20, 50,000 pounds to an automated AI system, how do we ensure it doesn't just totally alienate them? Because nobody wants to get a cold, robotic, access denied message when they're trying to hand you money or ask a simple question. Doesn't that risk ruining the relationship?
It is a very common fear. And honestly, it's usually why high performers refuse to let go of the door. But it fundamentally misunderstands how advanced this architecture is today. And the text addresses this in the third phase, setting the blueprint.
Setting the blueprint, okay.
This is all about coding your specific standards, your unique voice, and your warmth into the protocols.
But how do you code warmth into a logic gate?
By meticulously designing the communication templates and the prompt guardrails, you aren't just plugging in some generic, clunky chatbot. You are training the system on your past communications. You establish very specific protocols for how edge cases are handled.
So it's personalized.
Highly personalized. If an inquiry is highly complex, the system doesn't just say a flat no. It routes it to a specific folder for your review on a specific day, rather than interrupting your flow state on a Tuesday afternoon. The communication remains entirely aligned with your desired outcomes. It sounds professional, clear, and unshakable.
So it's not like a bouncer at a nightclub yelling, "You're not on the list."
Yeah.
It's more like a highly trained, impeccably polite concierge at a five-star hotel who knows exactly who has an appointment and who needs to wait in the lounge. The concierge is incredibly warm, but they are never going to let someone just barge into your penthouse.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And here is the counterintuitive secret the text reveals. Because the concierge never wavers, the client actually feels safer.
Really?
Yes. Clear, immutable boundaries create safety for both parties. There's no guessing, there's no passive aggression, no resentment building up behind the scenes.
Because the client knows exactly where the walls are, so they can just relax inside the room.
Precisely. And, when the consultant we discussed earlier implemented this automated AI-assisted ecosystem to handle her intake and boundary management, her nervous system finally felt safe to expand.
Because she wasn't personally holding the door anymore.
Exactly. And the income followed naturally, quietly, and consistently. Not because she pushed harder, but because her operational architecture was finally built to safely contain the scale.
She built a container that didn't leak glucose. Her V8 engine could finally open up because the internal computer knew the tires weren't going to blow out. The system was handling all the friction.
It completely neutralized the subconscious threat of success.
This is where the work becomes incredibly tangible. We've spent this time dissecting the mechanics of nervous system capacity and the absolute necessity of sovereign boundaries. But let's be honest with ourselves. You cannot sustain an elite business container if your internal system still perceives a client's temporary discomfort as a threat to your own survival.
You really can't.
It's akin to constructing a multi-million-pound skyscraper on a foundation of shifting sand. If you have felt that invisible ceiling of compromise today, where you just continue to over-deliver simply to maintain the peace, you aren't broken. You are merely patterned. And today, you are taking full responsibility for re-architecting that internal container.
Exactly. And that realization is the perfect bridge into the work Gina Pickersgill is doing right now.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought her up.
Because she is moving way beyond generic boundary scripts or surface-level strategy. She is teaching high-performing leaders how to rewire the actual neurobiological frequency of their wealth and their somatic capacity.
It's vital work. If you are ready to cease the energetic leaks and finally release that post-boundary hangover of guilt, you need to look at the resources in the description right now. First, her Heal Your Money Wounds workshop.
Such a powerful space.
It really is. It's your primary space to expand exactly what your nervous system feels safe to hold, receive, and contain without triggering an unconscious contraction. And second, for the coaches and mentors listening, I highly encourage you to use her AI-driven Burden to Boundary Coach Assessment.
Oh, that tool is incredible.
It's a precision tool designed to analyze your specific operational language patterns, showing you exactly where your private life force is being drained by client interactions. So definitely check those links out.
But before you click those links, take a moment to do the sovereign thing right here. If this perspective shifted something in your body today, hit the like button. It signals to the collective field that this is the frequency we are operating at.
Subscribe and enable notifications too, because in 2026, operating with absolute internal alignment isn't merely an option. It is the only way to scale sustainably.
It's the baseline.
It really is. So, to summarize what we've covered today, it is time to stop taking on emotional burdens that are not yours to carry. The biological cost of manually enforcing every boundary in your life is literally capping your potential.
You need to know exactly what is yours to solve and what belongs to this system.
That clarity is the key. When you shift the burden of enforcement from your own willpower to a digital logic gate, you save an extraordinary amount of time, energy, and stress.
It's a fundamental identity shift for you as a listener. You're moving from being a reactive leader who manually defends their territory with brute force to an architectural overseer who codes sovereignty directly into their business.
When your operations have a backbone, you stop unconsciously sabotaging your own scale.
Your operations finally have the infrastructure to protect your peace by default. You are no longer required to be the bottleneck for your own safety.
We want to leave you with one final thought to mull over today. Think back to that massive oak door you were holding shut at the beginning of this deep dive.
The exhausting one.
Yeah, that one. If your digital architecture flawlessly protected your energy, if the door locked itself and you no longer had the convenient, cozy excuse of putting out fires all day, what would you actually be forced to create in that terrifying, beautiful void of absolute freedom?
It is a profound question.
Yeah.
And one that requires immense honesty to answer. What does your magnum opus look like when you can no longer pretend you were too busy to build it?
Now go reclaim your space. We'll see you in the next one.
So when Gina offered me the opportunity to do this, I jumped for it because I think anything that you can do that is going to chip away at these limiting the beliefs of things that hold you back is really, really worth doing. So it's been a really lovely experience, and if anybody's a bit worried about it, just do it, because the opportunity to connect through havening is really, really powerful. It's really, really powerful.
But really helpful, I think, in terms of having that kind of guided process just to kind of let the ideas and the feelings and the images flow, and then try and work out what it actually means afterwards, and to come up with, and it made intuitive sense. It's really, really helpful to then kind of have that debrief of, okay, what can we actually do with this stuff? Because that's where we tend to get stuck, is kind of like coming out of it going, oh, this is all some really interesting ideas and thoughts and feelings and images. But yeah, then, you know, how can we actually harness them to do something different? And I think that's been really, really helpful in terms of clarifying really what I need to prioritize to go forward in a way that will deal with some of that stuff that came up.
I would like to point out that I'm actually a therapist myself, and sometimes therapists also need a therapist. So I was really stuck, and then one day a friend posted a link for Gina's wealth and money attracting short course, and I went, this sounds great, I'm just gonna book it. And I loved it so much. I really had an epiphany on that course, and it was only meant to be a demonstration, and yet it was really it just opened up something, possibilities that I was stuck before, and now like, ooh, I can use this to unstuck myself. I'm a great believer that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and you appeared at the right time. That's all there is to it. So, you know, if anybody is watching this video, it means Gina has appeared in your life. So please give it a try.
She walks where the sky meets the sea, a calm in the chaos.